right, let me get this thing going here. This is going to be stupid here. All right. Without further ado, the king of the Philadelphia Eagle fan club. You can hear him every morning on Birds 365, and you can also hear him on the halftime and post-game legendary JAKIB show. Our dear friend, Big Z, Zander Krause.
What's up, Big Sills?
Oh, God, man. Hey, I'm sorry if we got carried away with the Kane stuff, man.
Oh, no, that was a tremendous interview. Big Sills, before I go into a little bit of I don't want to call it a roast on you, but, we'll revisit what Michael Irvin had to say.
Oh, God.
I just want to give you credit because I don't think people realize you won't find another show on YouTube that has a guy like Michael Irvin on a Wednesday afternoon for your viewing pleasure. So for all the haters of Big Sills out there, you got to give him his credit where it's due. Big Sills is the most connected man I've ever met in my life. There's not a number he doesn't have. There's not an email he doesn't have, and a person he can't get in touch with.
Not true. I got help last week for the first
from
time.
Big Z, actually.
Hey, Big Z actually opened up his Rolodex, and for the first time in about 10 years, someone added to the Big Sills, and now I have a great relationship with Eric Allen. Last week, you had Eric Allen. This week, you get Michael Irvin. That's what we do here on this program for you.
Yeah, pretty impressive, man. It was a great interview. And I was super happy because, last time you had Irvin on, he was traveling.
Yeah.
Remember, and you couldn't really see him too well. So I thought his setup was great. His connection was great. It was just great. I was enjoying it from my side. It was really dope.
Yeah, no. He was in his Fox studio, and he was in his dressing room. That's his dressing room at Fox right there. So you can see his clothes in the background here. That's his dressing room. So show the picture. Here's Mike.
This is no picture here, Self. This is no picture here, everybody. Let's maybe revisit here this conversation.
Oh, God, it's not a quote. Because we're based in Philly. What's your thoughts on Jalen Hurts as starting quarterback in the NFL? Do you think he's an elite player?
Oh, listen, I think he is absolutely an elite player. And even being more than an elite player, he's an elite leader. Aaron Rodgers is an elite player. He's an elite player. But he's an elite player goes to this team, he can't make that team elite because you got to be the quarterback that everybody knows that you are for them and you cannot just be for him. You see what I mean? So that's what Jalen Hurts has. Now, we talk about up and down play. His up and down play is up and down according to when Big Boy is up or down.
Yeah,
that's AJ.
I'm
saying that's AJ Brown right there. When he's up, he's up. He's
right.
Down because he's the cover-up receiver. He's that area code receiver.
Without AJ, he's a bum.
Put the ball up and make great plays. That's what he needs. And he
needs
definitely an elite quarter. Let's just listen to the beginning one more time, everybody.
God.
Just the beginning one more time.
Hey, by the way, you got to admit Big Sills here does this, though. Jalen Hurts as a starting quarterback in the NFL. Do you think he's an elite player?
Oh, listen, I think he is absolutely an elite player.
Absolutely.
And even being more than an elite player, he's an elite leader.
Oh. So I no longer have to rely on my viewing eyes. I can, just turn on the playmaker. And I can hear him tell me that the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles is an elite player and an elite leader.
How could I be stabbed in the back by my boy for 40 years, man? Stabbed in the heart and in the back. Yesterday, I got stabbed by Randy Cross. Being top 10. Now I got stabbed by Playmaker. One of my closest friends. I get stabbed in the back.
Unbelievable.
Hey, one thing is sure here. This is what you get here on this program. Unlike WHIPASS, that station over there. You know what you get? People that come on and contradict Big Sills. And I'm not afraid to have them on. I disagree with that. Jalen Hurts, I'll prove it to you right here. Without A.J. Brown, he's a stiff. With A.J. Brown, he puts up great numbers.
He's not
if
a
that
stiff.
guy, he's underwater when he doesn't have him on the field.
He's not a stiff.
He's 10-12 without him. He's 10-12 here. The numbers dictate it too.
Yeah, but
With
come
him-
on, man. It's a team sport. Like I get it. I'm not gonna. Jalen is better with AJ Brown. No shit. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to use it to take away from what he is.
He doesn't.
I mean, I don't do that for any other quarterback in the league.
You don't. Hey, well, who are you going to do that with in Buffalo? Who are you going to take away? It doesn't matter.
Well, it did matter. Clearly, they didn't think they were good enough right now, and that's why they just went and traded for a wide receiver.
They had lost one ball game.
Okay, and talking to the GM who said,
"Are you really trying to tell me Amari Cooper's a great ball player?"
No, but they still need players around him.
Okay, they got him a really good. DeAndre Hopkins is not DeAndre Hopkins any longer. He's a dude that they gave a 5th rounder up for him.
I know, but the point is, it's a team football game. It's a team game, and you got to have great people around him. I'm not going to criticize. I'm not going to criticize Jalen Hurts.
Is a stiff without AJ.
Howie Roseman built a great offense.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Almighty! Holy cow!
All right, yeah. So I've been talking big game on Joe in the last couple of weeks, and I got something to back it up right here. All right, if you want to hear,
I want to wait. So you're going to dispute that?
I see that. You want to? I'll put that on the. Are
you really going to dispute that without him? Everything is like the interceptions stink. His passer rating stinks. His record stinks. His playoff record stinks. Come on, dog.
Breaking news: a quarterback's not good when he's throwing to Paris Campbell and Jahan Dotson.
How are you using a 22-game sample size and saying that don't mean shit?
I'm not saying it doesn't mean shit. I'm just not going to use it to sit here and say that Jalen Hurts is incompetent.
I didn't say he's incompetent. I said he's a stiff.
Oh, yeah. Big difference. All right. So, look, first 4 weeks of the year, we were sitting here and we were critical of Jalen, and some people agreed, some people didn't. First 4 weeks of the year, Jalen struggled this year, and there's no doubt about that. They were 2-2. He was averaging 7 passing yards per attempt, 4 passing touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 6 total touchdowns, 7 total turnovers with an 85.7 passer rating. We can all agree that those are very pedestrian numbers for a guy that's supposed to be the elite quarterback. In the last 3 weeks, okay, let's just give the guy credit because that's what I'm trying to do is be fair with what I see. 3-0, 10.4 passing yards per attempt, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, 9 total touchdowns, 0 giveaways, and a 127.4 passer rating. Wow. You give credit where it's due.
Oh, no, he's blowing up.
And speaking of credit, let's give the greatness of Terrell Ray credit for dropping a 50 burger here.
You're right. He gets credit for blowing the Giants up.
The Bengals were good. Wait a second. The Bengals score prediction from Big Sills was 31-20.
Yeah.
Okay, we blew him off the page.
What they did? Do you know what they've done to Jalen? You're not going to throw the ball as much now, son. You're going to start running like you did.
Bullshit. They didn't have to throw the ball. He blew him out, so he blew him away from the building.
What, are you trying to dispute the fact the last 3 weeks that they've downsized the passing game?
I didn't say that, but to say that he didn't win the game.
Then wait, you throw a shot at me by saying that's bullshit.
It isn't bullshit.
Through the air. They've had 34 attempts in 2 weeks. That's downsizing, my friend.
Because they've been blowing teams out.
Because they realized you're going to run the ball, son. Don't throw it because you'll have too many picks.
Let's read Jarrell, because Jarrell, big thanks, man. It means a lot when you support the I know really it's your hard-earned money. It goes a long way.
Everyone else that has thrown super chats out, they mean as much too. Thank you, Jarrell.
Yeah, we'll get to all of them, but I want to get to Jarrell because he dropped a 50 burger, and that's no joke right there. He says, CJ Stroud, no Diggs and Nico. Burrow, no T. Higgins. T-Law, no Kirk and Brian Thomas Jr. Purdy, no Ayuk. Mayfield, no Evans and Godwin. Let's see if they get the same treatment Jalen Hurts got. Point is, even the best need help. Jarrell, I think you're right. I think you're right on the money, my man.
I got right one game, and you guys are just trying to tell me this guy is some elite ball player.
No, I'm not. I'm pointing to a trend.
Okay. I'll go when you use the word
trend. I just gave you the 3-game numbers.
All right. Yeah, we don't need to be sitting here having angry Zander again like we did yesterday.
Oh, don't let angry Zander come out.
Hey, Okay, when you say the word trend, I'm listening. But when you tell me about the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I'm not listening because it's an 8. This is the same shit we went over last year. And that same shit was 10-1. Okay? You have to take a look at the entire body of work. Yes, I'm a trend guy. There's no doubt I am. The last 3 weeks are trending this way. They're running the ball 35 plus times a game. The quarterback isn't throwing the ball, but more effectively. Jalen Hurts as a quarterback, less is more. That's not a same thing in Baltimore. Less is more up there.
All right, the thing I would push back on you with is why is that a knock on Jalen Hurts?
It's not a knock.
When I think about that, I'm like, okay, good football. They decided to finally play good football. Good complementary
They're finally finding out who they are.
Right. I agree. So I'm not going to discount Jalen Hurts from that.
I'm not discounting it. They're actually looking at what's going on in Baltimore and going, well, how come they don't throw the ball? They don't even have a third wideout in that building, and this guy's throwing for 350 yards a game. Why is that? Because that running game makes that offense. Do you think there's any coincidence that the number 1 and number 2 teams in the NFL right now, both are 5-2? One team is averaging 220 yards a game rushing, and the other one's averaging 166, and it's the Ravens and the Eagles. There's no coincidence that the two guys and the two teams in the NFL right now that have that same style of play are both 5-2.
Yeah, no doubt. And look, I have a good stat for you that you'll actually like, which is a crazy thing, and it's a great topic for anybody that's a fan of the NFL. Sills, listen to this breakdown right here. Highest percentage of run teams through 8 weeks right now. Number 1 is the Eagles, 55%, they're 5-2. Number 2 is the Steelers, 54%, they're 6-2. Number 3 is the Ravens at 52%, they're 5-3. Number 4 is the Lions, also at 52%, they're 6-1. Number 5 is the Commanders at 6-2. 6 others are flirting at 50%. Buffalo, Kansas City, Chargers, Green Bay, Minnesota, and San Francisco.
All playoff teams.
All playoff teams. I mean, are we here witnessing a little bit of a tide shift in the NFL where defenses have now overcompensated to take away the pass and they've become vulnerable in the running game, and teams are looking at it and saying, I'm going to blow your doors off, and you're not going to be able to do anything about it.
Absolutely.
And that's the reason that I don't want to.
Where's all the equity go? Where's all the equity go on the defense in today's NFL? Edge and corner.
Right.
Okay. Doesn't go in the interior for the defensive lineman, Zander. They don't spend that kind of money.
Right.
The Eagles weren't going to put $20 million behind Javon Hargrave, were they? And by the way, take a look at what the San Francisco defense is struggling from right now. They can't stop the run because they don't have Hargrave and they don't have that guy Armstead in there any longer. And they're getting crushed up the middle, and they're killing Fred Warner. There is no doubt. You said something yesterday that's playing into all this. The trend in the NFL right now, scoring's down. You know why scoring's down? You're running the ball more, which means you're taking more time off the clock, and you're not going to keep people out. I really believe this, Zander, at the break, the bye week. I think that Eagle team went, it's just too much not to have Barkley A or B and A with AJ as part of the game plan here. You can't come out of a game where Saquon's C or D, where he had 6 carries.
No, I agree.
Touches. You can't have that. Those two guys, and look, that's kind of why maybe you had an offer the other day or a couple games ago with Devontae where he had the -2 yards, was because those two guys were dominating the football game. This is where, again, Hurts has still got to be able to spread the ball around. And you know why he's going to start spreading it around like 22? That zone is going to be more open because Hurts, he is such the key to this. But it's his running. That's the key to the passing game. If he runs like that, those backers have to come up, play closer. That zone's open, and you're going to see more guys open in the middle of the field. And I'm going to make a proclamation to you here, Zander. The more that guy Calcaterra gets involved in the passing game, the more he gets involved in the playing of how they're going to go about and approach their business, the more you're looking at the last days of Dallas Goedert.
I think you're right about that. I mean, Dallas Goedert, there's just too many injuries there. But no, you bring up a bunch of great points there. And here's what I'll say, though, about Jalen, because I know you always bring it back to Jalen, which is fine. I mean, this is Eagles and
quarterback. Quarterback has to be the guy.
Agreed. But don't you agree with this? Okay. And I know you're very hard on the quarterback, and I'm fine with that. I don't have an issue with it like others do. I'm cool with you being hard on him because that's what makes a championship player, is being hard on him and figuring out how to be great. But when the Eagles have this style of offense, Jalen becomes elite in the passing game too.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying that means he can be a pocket passer and throw 50 times. That's not what I'm saying. But when they have this approach, I mean, just look at the stats versus the Bengals game. I know it was a very balanced attack. I get it. Jalen Hurts was 16 of 20, which is 80% completions. He had 236 in the air and a deep ball touchdown. And he had several big throws to A.J. Brown for 20-plus yards. So my point is, when you have this balanced attack, it takes so much pressure off Jalen. He now becomes an elite passer. I'm not saying he's a pocket passer. I'm not saying he's Tom Brady, Brock Purdy, none of those guys. But that's not what we have. When we have this balanced approach, the eliteness of Jalen Hurts comes out, and it's not just in the running game. 16 to 20, 230. I mean, that's about as efficient as you're going to get as a quarterback. You know? Do you agree with that, or am I speaking?
No. You will never have an elite passer with him. But what you will do, like you had in 22, you get back to having an elite player week to week, because it all goes together and meshes together. The running and the passing, they weren't meshing those together the last 12, 13 games. What did Wink Martindale tell the kid? Remember what Jalen said at his press conference? Hey, guess what? My 2024 season started in 2023, because when he heard that from Wink and he knew that he wasn't running the ball and they didn't fear that anymore, he said it at his press conference. My 2024 season began last year with the mistakes that we made by not running me. And now he's starting to see that coming out, and he's making comments even like this. I want to get more to imposing our will on people. I want to get more to like 22. I'm going to say something to you here. This is going to sound crazy. You know that 3701 that he had in 22? He was an elite passer. He was an elite runner, and he was an elite player that year. All of that, he becomes back to being the elite player. But the last year and 3 games into the season, he was not elite at all.
Yeah, but
he's
what you
starting
just said,
to get back to doing what makes him the elite guy he is. Remember, Zander, that's one thing I've had to bitch here with. Why are they buying something and then trying to change the product that they bought? Why are they doing that? They went a year and a half trying to change his player. They came out of the bye week and they're going back to what they did that made him effective and made him the player that got him that $255 million. By the way, all super chats will be read. Promise. But
there's no doubt what you just said does go hand in hand with what I'm saying. Like, if you're going to make Jalen Hurts drop back and throw 45 times a game, that's not his game. But with the balanced approach and with all the other assets, I mean, he does kind of become elite passer. And you just said it. His 3,700 yards in 22, it was elite. I mean, he had a great year that year throwing the ball. He had barely any interceptions. I forgot what the numbers was.
If you look at his flow chart, he was across the middle of the field. Right. Why that year? You know why? They feared those 12 or 13 touchdowns that he had that year when he was throwing the ball and he was running. Hey, dude, when you got a guy back there with 800 yards and 15 touchdowns, you're not going to play off the ball on that. You're going to be on the ball in those passing lanes. And by the way, I said it again. You had more single coverage in 22 for those passes to be open. Why? Because Miles Sanders and Jalen had 2,200 yards in total rushing yards and 25 touchdowns. You can't get away from that. And now you're seeing it here with Barkley. Dude, in that game against the Bengals, how many times did the announcer and everyone go, why are they single covering A.J. Brown? They have to, because Hurts and Barkley,
I know,
they strike the fear in you, dude.
I know.
You can't play off the ball.
You're right. And they've brought that back out of Jalen this year a lot more. And by the way, he looks better doing it. Like last year, I don't know, was it that they didn't want to do it anymore, or was that Jalen he was nursing a knee and a shoulder last year. And I don't know if he was fully healthy. He 100% looks healthy this year. And when he runs, he's running fast. He's running hard and he's getting upfield quick. And I think you bring up a great point. It's very easy to say, well, why would they not double A.J. Brown? Well, they can't, because now you're going to leave so much open field. Jalen Hurts going to gash you for 20 yards on the ground. Or Saquon.
Or Barkley.
And that's where I think goes back to the offseason conversations where I'm not saying we're a Super Bowl team yet. There's nothing. I mean, everything we talk about, guys, can change. And you all know that in the chat. But when we talked in the offseason and I'm looking at this team and I was saying to you and you were telling me I was delusional, which is fine. I think this could be our year because we are that we have that many dimensions on our offense. The problem is if they use it correctly, and they've started to show that they're getting there. Doesn't mean they're going to do it every week, but if they do what they did versus the Bengals or take that approach, I think we can be a nasty team, man. A tough team to beat.
It's not really the offense. What's making it look a lot better is the play of the defense. That's where it's starting to make a balanced roster.
Right.
You did not look that way early on, and all of a sudden it's starting to trend up. Now, again, I'm going to be fair to this. Am I looking at 2022 and seeing a lot of the same shit here with some of these horrible quarterbacks that you're playing against and some of these horrible offenses that you're playing against? And is it fool's gold? See, the difference with this group and that 22 group, dude, you had Sue, you had Linval Joseph, you had Fletcher Cox, you had veterans that wouldn't allow, whether or not that was a good team or not. You have a lot of young players here. Now, do I think the younger players buy more into confidence versus older players? I do. Because a younger player never seeing it before, like a Sue, it's different. Sue's seen it all, man. Some of these players have not been through the peaks and valleys and have not, like look at Quinyon Mitchell. Everyone's all over Quinyon Mitchell. He hasn't seen valleys yet. He will see valleys like Sauce Gardner's seeing him, in New York right now. You go up and down like this, and this is a younger team than that 22 team. So I temper it right now by going, how are they going to look in that stretch run when you've got all these good teams coming up on the flip side of Jacksonville? And are you going to play the same way against Jacksonville that you played against Cincinnati? Put your foot on their throat, not get off it, run at them, be physical with pressure on defense. Are you going to do all those things? And I don't care. It's Jacksonville. I'm with you on that. If you look, if you do the things you did against Jacksonville or Cincinnati to Jacksonville, you should have a same almost exact score. Okay. Will you play up and down? Here's the one thing that I've seen this year in 8 games. The Eagles have been up and down. The last 3 weeks, they've been playing at a better level of playing up to their ability versus down to the opponent's ability. That's been some of the big things that we're seeing here, and that's a great trend. Do they continue it against a not so good and banged up and very right now newsworthy coach who could be fired on Monday if he loses this game? How are they going to handle all this? I think Jacksonville's an interesting ball game for them on Sunday. They're by far the better team.
Yeah, no, they are. I mean, I think you bring up a great point. They got to stick to this. They have to stick to this. They have to embrace this because it's the best part of their team. They're a physical football team. They have a tremendous offensive line, and there's no question. I mean, like I said to you, Jalen becomes a great passer when you don't make him beat every team solely through the air. I mean, I gave you the passer rating. I mean, I know he's running the ball great, but he went from an 85 passer rating to a 127.4 in a 3-game span. I mean, he's a good passer when you don't have it all on his plate. And I think this
less
team
is
really
more. Less is more. By the way, when I say that, automatically people go like this. Well, Sills is saying they're taking the plays away. They're not. No, they're using him more efficiently. He's running and passing like he did before, right, and they're using his yards efficiently. Thanks, Mike, for that. Please, we got 250 likes right now.
Amazing, guys, man. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, please, if you can, please hit the likes. We'd like to get to 300 by the top of the hour here. Hey, Zander, you're starting to look like the guy you paid for.
Yeah, he is. No doubt about it. And it's exciting. I mean, look, you're a Philly fan. You're excited by it. I'm certainly excited by it, but I'm weary that they won't stick to it because, and I don't know if that'll be a coaching thing or a front office thing where they're just
an injury thing.
Well, it could be an injury thing, but I mean, shit.
That's my next topic, by the way.
But think about it, Sills. They're down 2 offensive linemen last week, and they still were able to impose their will. Incredible. I mean, it's credit to Jeff Stoutland, but that's
Howie.
the identity of the football team.
And
it really does come down to Jalen Hurts, where he is a big, powerful dude. And most teams don't have quarterbacks like that. Like I asked you yesterday and I asked John this morning, when is somebody going to figure out the tush push? They're not going to figure it out. What are they going to do? You're not going to stop that offensive line with a quarterback that can squat like he can squat. So, look, we're in a good spot right now. If this team keeps building on this, they're really starting to show what we all envisioned they could be. And it's not to say crown them yet. It's a process. You got to get through the year. I understand that, but I'm definitely more encouraged right now than I have been at any other point in the year so far this year.
Okay, who are you more concerned about keeping this pace up, Hurts or Saquon?
I'm going to say
both are instrumental in this whole process here.
I'm going to say Saquon because I don't know. That's tough. I mean, here's the deal. I think Saquon would suffer if Jalen. How do I want to word this? In other words, I think we can be a great team.
Hey, by the way, Baltimore would suffer big time too if Henry.
No, yeah, I know. But my point would be is I think we're so damn good on the offensive line and with Jalen in the running game that if Saquon did take a step back, you could probably build, evolve the offense a little bit using Kenny Gainwell, Will Shipley, and some of these other guys and still have a great running attack. Similar to how Miles Sanders isn't half the player Barkley is, but he still ran for 1,300 yards. DeAndre Swift's not as good as Saquon Barkley. He still ran for, 11 or 1,200 yards last year. We just have that identity. So if Saquon took a step back, I would feel pretty good about the team, and that would mean I think Jalen Hurts would be able to keep it up. But I don't know. That's a tough question. That's a tough question to answer. What would you say?
I think Barkley, because I think Barkley changed their philosophy. I think Barkley has changed it. As they got to the bye, they went, hey, man, this is a formidable running attack. Dude, you're second in the league to Baltimore.
I know.
I mean, you're averaging 170 yards, 166.7 or something like that. Baltimore's beyond crazy at 220 a game. Imagine that. Dude, 220 yards a game you're averaging at Baltimore, man. You're going to kill teams.
No, okay? And we mentioned it yesterday, Sills, but, I'll bring it up again. The NFC and the AFC are vastly different. Who's the best team in the NFC right now?
Detroit,
I think, pretty easily. Like they're head and shoulders right now. I think teams are getting closer, but I think they're the top team.
Yeah.
Jared Goff the last 5 weeks, ready? 15 attempts, 25 attempts, 25 attempts, 18 attempts, 23 attempts. That's the best team in the NFC.
But and again, remember though, here's the difference here between him and Hurts. He doesn't rely on his wheels. They're relying on the wheels behind him.
My point is more
he's capable of going for 4,600 yards a year.
I hear you. My point is more that in the NFC, this style is the way to win in a way versus in
I
the
think
AFC,
the style is spreading around the league, actually.
I know, but in the AFC, if I'm Baltimore, I'd be concerned. And that's why they went and traded for a receiver because you got to throw in the playoffs. Mahomes might not have it together right now, but you watch, man. Them playoff games will come. He'll be throwing. He'll be putting 40 on the board again.
Let me put this out there to you, okay? So if you had to play a playoff game right now, the way Mahomes is playing, and you're in the AFC, what's the one team you wouldn't want to face in the playoffs on a do or die game?
In the AFC?
Yeah,
I think that's pretty simple. Kansas City, obviously.
Oh, I thought he was having not you saying it. I thought he was having a shitty. I mean, you could say whatever you want about Mahomes. Is that the guy you want to see in a playoff game?
Yeah, you got to elevate the conversation, everybody. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is.
He's capable of doing this, right? 3 picks in the first half and then 4 touchdowns in the second half.
And they got Andy Reid. I mean, look, that team should. That's why I never buy into any of the stat people who are telling me Mahomes is having a bad year. Until he gets knocked off and can't win for a couple years straight, I'm not buying into it.
Did you hear my philosophy on why I think his numbers are down? Is because I think Kelsey's getting older, and I think Kelsey's importance in that offense. He's got 38 catches on the season right now. I think it's got a little bit to do with the diminished role he has.
Is he getting older, or is he too caught up in the Taylor Swift hype train?
Maybe both. Okay?
I mean, look, it's a grueling game. You got to be committed to it mentally, physically, spiritually, everything. And I think he was before Taylor. I'm not trying to. I don't know. I'm not Travis Kelce, so I'm not trying to question his effort or anything. But naturally you bring on the PR and the paparazzi wagon, it might shift your attention. And I think even Jalen Hurts struggled with that a little bit last year where, he became the big star and everybody wants him on TV and the commercials and everything. Now I think he's settled back into, putting what's
Anytime
important
you
first.
see a dude change his hairstyle, a chick's got to him. I mean, any chick that can make a guy change his hairstyle, something's given up there, man. The guy gave a little bit of his soul away there for that.
A little goofy, yeah. A little goofy for sure.
Little goofy there, man. Hey, who's been your biggest surprise in 2024?
On the Eagles?
Yep.
Biggest surprise. It's got to be Nakobe Dean for me right now, man. It has to be. I was thinking this guy was going to be a trash can linebacker. I really did. And it was more about the size and me just being like, I just don't see it.
Durability.
And durability, right? That was obviously a big concern. But, Vic Fangio has really done a good job at evolving this defense to kind of get the players in the right positions. And when you get Nakobe Dean downhill, he don't look like he's too small anymore, right? I mean, you've seen him clean a couple people's clock, and you're just like, damn, that dude can hit that hard.
Dare I say this? He looks like a big hitter.
He does when you get him downhill. But if you get him in space hills where his feet are flat-footed, people walking right around him.
I might be wrong.
And I think Vic has learned that quick and has kind of got him in better position. So I'll say Nakobe Dean number one, and I'll stick with Nakobe. I mean, the whole defense has been somewhat of a pleasant surprise. Brandon Graham, I mean, what is he, 36, 37? That dude is still making plays. So, but it's Nakobe Dean for me for sure. I'm not sure. Did anybody else put some good ones in the chat? I'd be curious to look. Juergens is a decent one.
Yeah, Juergens is a really good one. I'll tell you what. Plus, he's stepping in.
Decent one.
He's stepping in for a Hall of Fame guy too. Yeah,
Dean has had 2 good games. I would say. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's 2. I mean, look, the body of work has been better than I've expected.
No, I think
overall.
he's gotten better since Green Bay.
Definitely. So
yeah, I think he's gotten better. This is going to sound crazy when I say this. Yeah. And I hate this guy. I don't hate him. I don't know him very well, but man, I'll tell you something. Since the bye, I don't know, man, that team, you said something that looks like it could be happening. All the shit that guy's taking, I'm talking Nick, looks like that team has all of a sudden found focus. And you don't play like that in 3 weeks. I don't care who the opponent is. There's been some focus there. And if we're going to shit on Nick, you have to give Nick some kudos because he's the overall guy with this thing. It's his football team, dude.
Yeah, no doubt.
This is his team.
Look, and I'm not the biggest.
If we want him fired, if we all want him fired, you have to also, and this is what and it kills me sometimes because I've got to do this. Hey, man, I got to give this guy some kudos here for rallying back off of that bullshit stunt that he had with the fans and shit. I
never cared about, by the way, and I'm taking credit because I never called to fire him because he chirped back at some fans. But I had some issues with some of the coaching things. And, look, if we're all going to sit here, and I would encourage everybody in the chat to check in, I'm interested in your thoughts. But, a lot of people were like ready to fucking fire Nick.
Oh, by far.
And that's fine. But now that this team is finding their rhythm, if you're going to have that energy when they're not doing well, you got to hold that same thing and give him the credit for this team finding a rhythm. Now, maybe it ain't him. I don't know. But I'm giving him credit for it because, everybody wants to shit on him when they're 2-2 through the bye week and don't look that good. Well, now they're 3-0 since the bye week, and they blew the doors off the last 2 teams they faced, and they made Joe Burrow look pedestrian. So I'm giving Nick some credit because he's the head coach. And Vic has done a good job, but players buy into a head coach. And they're clearly still bought in, and they clearly still believe in Nick Sirianni. So he's doing something behind closed doors because, remember, Sills, and you know this, these are grown men that are making millions of dollars to play a game. It's not Pee Wee foot. It's not Pop Warner where you show up and you got to trust the coach.
If I was in that Eagle locker room and I went into that bye and I saw my coach distressed like that, I would, if I were like you heard Michael and I talking about how we were teammates. If I saw my coach like that, what I would do is I would absolutely do everything in my power to make sure everything stayed in house. We all rallied around one another. We won and lost as a team, and we all were galvanized with one another come hell or high water. That's how I would want us to go out on a football field. And that's how I'm starting to feel a little bit about the team since the bye. By the way, we're going to get to all your
we're getting
super chats here. Am I right when I say that?
No, you're right. I mean, and you're also right that if you said, listen, we got to relax just in terms of, it's a couple good weeks. But the reason I'm so optimistic is because this is what I dreamed of them doing in a way. And when they weren't doing it, you're like, even if they win, fuck, are they going to go far? You question that. Now with this, you're like, boy, they can build on this and be great now. But, and Bob, I see in the chat, you're right. I mean, look, we were 10-1 last year. It's not time to credit anybody. It's not time to crown anybody, but we have found an identity that I believe we can build on, and that I believe we can knock anybody out in the league with. So they got to stick to it.
Bob, I'm with you.
Keep at it for sure.
But I'm with Zander too. And but Bob, two can be right here. Okay?
Yep, I agree.
Two can be right here. So
I'll just put Bob on the screen so anybody that watching after knows what he said.
We're going to get to your super chats.
Let's not remove the news yet. We were 10-1, and that didn't work out. 3 games does not take the stink off of Nick yet. I agree.
Yeah,
but
I got it.
It's definitely going off on Bob, and he deserves credit.
Fact, all I said was the last 3 weeks. I haven't said the whole year. I just said he looks different coming out of the bye, and it was a point that you made. Maybe this is something that they galvanized coming out of the bye, and it looks like. Yeah. Then again, winning covers that up, Bob. I'm with you.
Let me ask you a question now in hindsight. And I'm not trying to take Nick off the hook completely, but do you think there maybe was a bit of a shred of Nick kind of understanding his team wasn't living up to expectation at that point in the year and saying, let me turn everybody on me and keep them out of the limelight. And then now that they're back, Nick's not getting any credit, but he should. He's not. He went through the ringer,
That's too superficial. I think it had more to do with
I don't know, man. I don't know if it's too superficial.
Let me finish. I think it had more to do with the identity of them going back and running the ball and being physical and going back to Eagle football that changed the dynamic in that building, which all of a sudden, like you said, it makes it easier to gravitate to what you just said. Like, whoa, okay. So we're going to change our philosophy a little bit. The organization is changing what we're going to do by running the ball like that. We should have been doing this from the very beginning. Shit, right. You had players on the sidelines always saying, let's run the ball. So again, I think it opens it easy. It's an easier door to walk through, Zander, with the superficial stuff, which is the outside noise about the coach. When you're talking about results and everything, winning and losing, that is the essential part of how you keep a locker room. No matter what the coach or how freaky the coach or no matter what it is, when you start losing, look at Dallas. Mark Holmes is going to get killed, and he knows it. He set it up to me already. When you start losing, you can't even rely on the 12 wins you had the last 3 years in a row. Because losing, you lose everything. Your coach, your mentality, your identity, all of that stuff goes out the front door of the locker room. So they started winning. Then what's the most important thing the last 2 games? They started inflicting their will.
Yep.
When you inflict your will on people.
Can I show you something? I don't want to program. I don't want to. If you have another topic, that's fine. I want to show you something, though. Are you good with that?
Yeah, sure.
So Brian Baldinger tweets out. Did you see this?
No.
So Brian Baldinger tweets out yesterday, and this goes into exactly what you were just saying. Brian Baldinger tweets out yesterday a clip of the Eagles and the use of play action, right? And he tweets, Eagles, Jalen Hurts' use of play action passes has really helped with the rhythm and timing of his throws. The receivers love it, and the O-line are thankful for it. Hashtag Baldy's breakdown. Shout out to Brian Baldinger. Somebody responded to him on Twitter and said, any idea why it took him 8 weeks to do this? And Brian responded and said, a few guys were tired of the offense and spoke up. Now, you know Baldy, and you know how connected he is with certain players. He works out at the Lane Johnson Bro Barn. I think that's a pretty interesting tidbit of information on, I think it's Jalen and Lane. That would be my guess.
I think it's Barkley. Lane's been out.
Well, I don't know if Barkley's the type that would speak up. Like, I could see Lane and AJ, but Lane being like, hey, man.
A leader, dude. I
know he is, but I don't know if he's the type of leader that wants to ruffle the waters. That's a different type of a leader.
When you're putting up 135 yards in offense a week and you're going into a coach, you got equity. You got equity in the building, man.
Either way, we don't know who said it.
By the way, how could Jalen have any kind of equity when he's been so up and down prior to the
Well,
bye.
he's the 50 million. I mean, come on, he's the quarterback. He's got more say than anybody in that room.
Dude, so you think he said take the passing plays out of my
No,
hand?
I'm not, I don't know who. I just thought it was interesting that Baldy put that out there because I don't think Baldy
I agree.
repeated that
Somebody
without knowing something. And remember, Baldy's like really close with Lane Johnson. A lot more close than he would be with say Jalen Hurts or Saquon. Like he works out with Lane Johnson. Baldy.
well, who would you say that to, Nick?
I don't know. I mean, I think he might have heard it from Lane. I don't know who exactly would have said it. I just thought it was interesting to hear.
No. You can take it to the bank that Brian Baldinger got it from a source.
Yeah, and then the content of it is actually interesting as well, where you're like, whoa, somebody did speak up, and
because, dude, they've changed their philosophy. They've changed it.
No, and have you been listening to Birds 365? Like, did you listen to it today at all or no?
I didn't.
I know some days you listen, some days you don't, but I mean,
Most of the days I do.
Is anybody in here that has listened to Birds 365, maybe today's show? Because
Jesus Christ, he gets on my ass. One day I don't listen to it.
No, I'm not getting on your ass at all. I just wanted to ask you because it's an interesting discussion I've been having that if you heard it, I would have been interested to hear your thoughts. I'm not getting on your ass about it. I know it's like 6 a.m. for you that time, but John is just, I mean, he makes me feel like I'm a dumbass because I'm like, John, this thing looks different. It's not just that they're executing better. This thing looks different. And John basically, he's almost gaslighting me and making me believe I'm fucking crazy for saying it looks different. He's like, no, they're just executing better. And I'm like, John, I'm sorry, they're not.
They're running the ball. Jalen, dude, they're running 39, 40 times a game compared to what they're doing in the passing game. And then if John goes like this, they're executing better. Well, John, you're answering Zander's question. John, does it look different? Well, they're executing better. Yeah, because they're executing better in the run game.
Because they're doing something different. I mean,
in the run game.
I know we got the battle royale coming up.
They're executing better in the run game. Yes. See, he's answering your question right.
That's exactly what I was saying. I'm like, am I just going fucking crazy? What's going on here? But hey, I don't know. Sometimes I let Johnny Mac live in his world, and people don't, like I said, people don't tune in for me, so I don't try.
I don't think so. I think they tune in for you and him. I like the show. Let's get to these super chats because we do have battle royale.
We got the two legends coming up. Big shout out to Mark and Philly 500. Love both of those guys. Michael Robinson checks in. Michael, thank you, man. He says, you are spot on, Sills. I've noticed Saquon has added a new layer of leadership, and it is affecting the whole team dramatically.
Dude, I never saw this guy in New York. I never, on the field and off the, I am close to the Giant organization, and everyone knows. I've been close to them since I was 10.
Yeah.
I've known the Maras since I was 10 years old. And I'm telling you, I've seen thousands of Giant players go through that place. I have never seen Saquon Barkley talk the way he does and play the way he has. It's been remarkable, refreshing. He's the second pick in a draft. Absolutely. Dude, if he played and I said it, he played his entire career in Philly, he'd be in Canton. He is a really good football player, man. I can't be more wrong about him, even though he's a low-life Penn State guy.
Yeah. Michael, big thanks to you, brother. Appreciate everybody's support of the channel. Everybody's been tremendous. Big Fish checks in. 100% right, Zander. I tried to bring up the under center stuff 3 weeks ago. Yeah. I don't know, Big Fish. The thing I don't like about the conversations with John is he almost says things to me, and then he's like, you're a fucking idiot if you don't see what I'm saying. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I just don't see what you're saying. Maybe. And then you start to question, like, am I a fucking idiot? I don't fucking know.
Oh, I love those kind of conversations with people.
I mean, it is what it is, though. Always Sunny says, Sills, what the F? You're in Cali? Yeah, Sills is a Cali guy. No, doesn't that explain a lot?
No doubt.
Sydney family, Mark Tough for turning up. Respect. Always got respect for Mark, man. Mark's a legend. I absolutely love Mark.
Me too.
Yeah, he's a great dude. Jalen checks in. Nick has player committee, and they came to him to change offense. Defense players did same last year with the Cy. Nick listens and acts. Yeah, maybe. I mean, we'll see. I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever know, but
I think the organization sometimes listens and reacts.
Yeah, I don't know. The organization is
dude, they pivoted.
I would give Nick more credit for pivoting than the organization.
They pivoted. They pivoted at the bottom.
Remember, this is an organization that fired a Super Bowl winner because they thought it was
that pivot makes Howie look good. Why?
I
because
know,
he signed Barkley.
they're more infatuated with the way it looks than the result.
But he looks great signing Barkley.
Well, that's true.
Nobody's
That's
talking about the Dotson third rounder you surrendered for the dude. You're talking about the addition of Barkley in free agency.
Yeah, right. No doubt. I'll just go to Jalen again because he just followed up. Thanks everybody for the support, man. It means a lot to us. Nick has player committees like Doug. They asked him to change offense. Defense players did same last year with Desai. Oh, you sent that twice, brother. I was getting to it. Thank you, man. Brian says, Nick is lucky the team is winning and that Joel Embiid is a buffoon. We Philly fans turn our attention to that bozo. We want guys who freaking work. Brian, I'll join you on the Joel Embiid hate
I
club,
can't
man.
stand Joel
I'm
Embiid.
not a Joel Embiid guy.
Hey, by the way, Brian, in the land of Wilt and Malone and those great players like that, don't ever in a billion years ever put that guy's name in the category of Chamberlain and Malone as centers for the Sixers. He's nowhere in that conversation.
Yeah, well, one of my worst sports takes, well before I was on air, and it was just inside my own home, where I was all excited that the Eagles or that the Sixers tanked, and they were like, "Oh, they're getting all these draft picks." And my dad looked at me and he said, "You're going to learn the hard way. This team will never win with this setup. They'll never win." My father told me, and I didn't want to believe him, but
look at that big Z. Hey, big Z. He had a strong take there, and the epiphanies come through.
Yeah, I was telling my dad, it's just the Sixers' time. No, it wasn't. Jarrell checks in. Jarrell, appreciate it, man. Your support today is always.
Yeah, you're great, Jarrell. Thank you very much,
Love
Jarrell.
Man. Jarrell's great on Twitter, too. He always messing with me and you on Twitter. He says, I can recall saying the players would back coach up after the Browns game. Villain Sirianni, baby. Jarrell, you 100% said that, and you said it right here on JAKIB on the post-game show. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Sydney checks in. Becton, Steen, Johnson, maybe Keegan next. Wow, yeah.
Yeah,
Keegan, man.
Keegan's going to be
I
a
wish I was
starter
wearing my
too.
Stout U shirt right now.
Dude, I'll tell you what, man. They got depth in that O-line. Dude, there's O-lines in the NFL that have one guy on it that's good. The rest of them suck.
Yeah.
Look, it's insane.
It's incredible, dude.
Dude, I've never seen a group so developed in my life like the O-line in Philly. It's freaking incredible.
Yeah, it really is, man. Jarrell again. Look at that. Jarrell, thanks,
awesome, Jarrell. Thank you, man.
Yeah, and he dropped the 50 burger. So big shout out to you, Jarrell. By the way, Jarrell is deploying in December. So he's a fighter for our great nation. So big thanks to everybody should thank Jarrell.
Oh, wait a minute. You know what? Jarrell's going to be like he's going to be in some foxhole, and I could just see he's probably a sniper right now going like
Jarrell's
this.
going to be in a foxhole. He's going to pull out his phone and tweet, "Fuck you, Big Sills.
Yeah,
Jalen Hurts is a legend."
Wait a minute. Jarrell's going to have the National Football Show going on in one ear, and he's going to have his scope going like this. I got that Rooski right there. Pow!
Yeah. Wait, let me pull out my phone, everybody. I got to shit on Big Sills.
Yeah, hang on, Sills. I just
talking shit about my quarterback. He says he doesn't need to be an elite passer for running the ball, but guess what? He's going to develop to an elite passer. His character shows that. Well, Jarrell, he kind of is when they run. Like I pointed it out to Sills. He might not want to hear that, but 16 and 20 is pretty elite. It's not a lot of attempts, but he is elite, Jarrell. Great point. He says, Waldo Vision says, would Milton and Goddard for Garrett get it done?
No,
dude. No,
dude. No.
Dude, not even close, dude. Maybe that with 2 first-rounders, maybe we'll get it done.
Yeah,
Abe checks in. Abe, appreciate you, brother. Defense got better at scheme and covering, but one thing it relies on the player is the D-line in order to stopping the runs or rushing the passer. He's right. It all comes down to that D-line, man.
Absolutely, it does. Absolutely. It comes down to stopping the run, too, most importantly.
Sills, as a football savant and a guy that's covered the game for a long time, played the game at the high level, and I know I've been high on Jalen Hurts this week, but isn't the bigger thing to be high on with this team the numbers that the defense has put out in the last couple of weeks? I know you haven't played great teams. Joe Burrow is pretty damn good, but
it's the young guys. It's different. You know what? If you had a veteran group and you were putting numbers up against shitty teams,
right,
I'd be more suspect. You got young guys that have never played the game or have had limited snaps,
right,
that are picking their game up in their confidence. Dude, I don't mind this right here. This is right now. Again,
isn't it the Mahomes formula? Like last year, Mahomes wasn't. I mean, that was a defensive team, right? And it helped him carry him to a Super Bowl. I mean, that's where I like where the Eagles are right now. So great point, A. Appreciate you, bro. Anthony Wilson says, "Stop, Sills. They look nothing like last year."
That's not true. They
did early. They haven't the last couple of weeks.
That's
Yeah.
the narrative right there.
Agreed.
They did early. Now they're starting to get out of it, Anthony. Anthony, they did look like it because we're all saying they look the same.
Yeah, no doubt. And there's the 50 burger from Jarrell earlier. Jarrell, thank you, my man. It's massive for us.
Look at this one here, man.
What? We got another one? Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, man. Another one.
Holy
Sydney,
cow,
man. Thank you
Sydney.
so much. Thanks, Sills, John, and Big Z. Sydney, you're a legend, bro. Sydney has become one of my favorite guys to talk to on the post game show. Sills, you would like Sydney. He's an Aussie, and he's been watching football for almost 40 years. And he just
well, wait a minute. That means he has like a snarky attitude, because I'll tell you one thing about the Australians, man. They're gonna talk shit to you, and you're gonna think they're talking
he doesn't have an
about you
attitude.
and talk shit to you.
He's a pretty grounded dude. I
like
love talking to him in the post.
Way to go, Sydney. Thank you, sir. Appreciate
Sydney,
that.
thank you, man. Massive, bro. Appreciate everybody
absolutely.
today. Let me roll through. We got a couple more to get to. I don't know where you stopped. Always Sunny says, good thing AJ Brown is here for a while. Big Sills. He is here for a while. Barrett checks in. Barrett, thanks, man. Sills needs some JAKIB gear. New merch is fire. Thanks, man. Go check it out, everybody, at jakibsports.com.
Don't worry, I'm waiting too, Barrett. You know, I'm waiting too here. It's about me, not about
Sills is making millions of dollars, so I'm trying to come up with a couple extra peanuts.
Hey, this week I am.
I'm trying to come up with a couple extra peanuts to.
Hey, by the way, Barrett, this week I am.
Mark says, Donovan McNabb watched from the sideline his rookie year. Doug Peterson was the starting QB. He got hurt, and McNabb started the last few games. Hurts a second round pick, had no support. I don't know what he means at the end there, but I think he's just drawing the comparisons there.
Yeah, no, Hurts. They have built a football team around Jalen.
Yeah, they have.
No quarterback in the history of the Philadelphia Eagles has ever had the talent around him that Jalen Hurts has. That's a fact.
All right, I got a real quick question. I know we're running out of time. I got a quick question for everybody in the chat, because I got a little bit of flack after our show yesterday. And you guys would know this better than me. I'm born in 98. I'm a lot younger than a lot of people listening, I'm sure. Who is the greatest quarterback in the history of the Philadelphia Eagles? Put it in the chat. I want to see what everybody says.
It's McNabb.
I said it was McNabb yesterday, and a couple people commented that's insane. A couple people commented, I don't know. I thought full body of work, it was McNabb. Maybe I'm wrong. Slager says McNabb. I'll get to those comments in a little bit. Let me just finish up these supers. Always Sunny says, just got home from work. What up, Big Sills? Always Sunny, man. Thanks for checking in. And then did you get this one? Yeah, you got that one.
Yes.
Yeah, you got that one. All right, so we got them all, and then some new ones just came in, and we'll get to them right now. Slay said it on his podcast last year. He was talking about his follow-up of the Players Committee.
Yep.
Yeah, interesting stuff, Jalen. Sean Mims checks in. Sean, thanks, man. Nolan is showing signs, and the two new rookie DBs looking good, Sills. What about the DB from Toledo? Quinyon, baby.
Hey, subtle shot. Very nicely done, Sean. It Sills. Hey, he is playing well. He really is.
Never draft a white corner and never draft a guy from Toledo.
8 you want me to start? 8 games. 8 game career. Okay. We'll see. We'll see here. And we'll see if your boy Hurts continues his trend.
Here's Lord's Grace. He says, are we the Dallas Cowboys or the 90s minus the coach?
No, you don't have the experience on defense yet, but you may.
Not yet.
Minus the coach, right.
Honestly, that was a pretty good answer. I thought Sills was going to absolutely demolish that take, and he didn't. So I think we're in a good shape.
Yeah, no. I think you're a little bit ahead of schedule. That's for damn sure. Okay.
Sydney checks in, follows up, says, my kids walk around Dancilio, Coach Aaron.
Ooh. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thank you, Sydney. You're awesome.
Yeah, God. Sydney's dope, man.
Hey, Sydney, man, what part of Australia, man? East or west side? I'd like to know where you're from down there, man. That's pretty cool. My wife and I have always wanted to go there, New Zealand, believe it or not.
I am about as dumb as it gets when it comes to geography. Like I am. I know America very well, actually, and I know where I live very well. So I have a good geographical mind, but I don't give a shit about the geography of the world. I never did in school. I kind of regret. I wish I paid a little bit more attention, but I wasn't the greatest student. I might have been like a Big Sills type of student back in the day.
Absolutely. Okay, we got Battle Royale coming up here, and I got to take a time out because I haven't yet.
Yeah.
Okay,
so I was waiting for the follow-up.
There you go, Sydney Bankston.
My Lotta
A
area.
lot of area
New
down there
Zealand.
where you come. Okay, that's cool, dude.
Awesome, man. That's
Absolutely.
cool.
Xander, you killed it, man. We got Philly 500 and we have Mark Holmes coming up
Yeah,
here.
a couple people ripping me. You're right, Jack. I wish I knew more. I'm great at it in America and where I live. Like, I'm one of those guys, I can drive anywhere in the city.
Jack, here's my geography. The refrigerator for my Coronas and my couch for football. That's my geography there too. And hey, by the way, and a lane to the Pissoir. That's all the geography I know or need.
Beers, the microphone, and the pisser. That's it.
Microphone and the pisser, and I need a refrigerator for the Coronas. That's it, dog.
Unbelievable. All right, everybody.
Hey, Xander, where's East Lafayette, Indiana? Do they sell Coronas there?
Big thanks again to everybody, man. Jarrell and Sydney with two massive supers, and everybody else that checks in and supports, man. Means a lot. Thanks, everybody. Big Sills, great show, man. Looking forward to the Battle Royale.
You got it, man. Philly 500 and Mark Holmes right around the corner. Xander, thank you very much, brother.
Just remember what the playmaker said. Just remember what Michael Irvin said, everybody, right here on the National Football Show. Thanks, everybody.
I hate that, man. He did too, man. I'm going to have a conversation with Playmaker calling Hurts elite. Hit the like button. Battle Royale coming up next. Keep it here, National Football Show.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.